Welcome to my News on Point, your pulse on trending news. Stay connected by subscribing to our channel.
This woman celebrated her 54th birthday on the 23rd of July 2024 at a big event center. It was well attended because she was a very popular chef. Monsira Debbie Olakunbi was said to be known, a well-known chef who owned her own restaurant known as the Country Kitchen. She was the CEO of the Country Kitchen and was highly respected and highly valued. She was also a mother of 2 children, but at the time of this incident, it was stated that she did not live with her children, nor did she live with her husband. I'm guessing at 54 years old, her children must be well grown up and probably in school or living by themselves, or most likely living with their dad, since she was not living with her husband. It was also said that she lived in a 1-bedroom flat in an apartment building she shared with other tenants. It's not clear if she owned the building. It's possible, but we know she lived alone and only had neighbors around her. Ironically, on the day of this incident, most of her neighbors traveled, which made it difficult for anyone to see or hear something. Now, 2 days after her birthday on the 25th of July 2024, she had 3 visitors. Some sources said she had 2 guests. Debbie took out her time to prepare food for her guests. It is also possible that these were food from her birthday that had just happened. But she did well to serve her guests. She did well to serve the visitors. Gave them food, gave them drinks, turned on the TV, chilled and had conversations with them, because these were not just any visitors. These were not just well-wishers. These were not friends. These were people she had employed to work for her personal assistant, her driver, and someone else who was either friends of the driver or friends of the personal assistant. And it did not matter for her. She treated them like guests, served them, and went on to the business of the day. Obviously, she would not be discussing personal, private matters with them. It also turned out that these were the people who picked up the money that was sprayed to her on her birthday that had just happened, which it was said that the birthday was well attended and people gave her a lot of money as gifts. She had a lot of money sprayed on her. She had a lot of monetary gifts. Sources even said that she was sprayed in foreign currencies. It's not clear the total amount of money she may have made from that birthday, but it was enough and a lot for what was about to happen next. Somewhere along the line while dealing with these people, it's not clear what just happened. I never understand how people would switch. But after her visitors had finished eating and drinking, the next thing they did was to bring out cutlass, knives, weapons. They held this woman down, gagged her to hold her from screaming, and eventually butchered her to death. The personal assistant, the driver, and the third person all jumped on this woman and made sure she died in the most brutal manner ever. After they had finished killing Debbie, they took her ATM, took her mobile phones, and decided to set her apartment on fire to make it look like something else. But the fire did not burn so much. Maybe there was not enough gas for it to engulf the entire building, so it only burnt a little section of her house, and by this time these killers had already left. Unfortunately, nobody in the compound heard anything. Nobody heard any screaming. Nobody saw something suspicious. There were words that her generator was on to maybe entertain the guests, and because of that generator noise, nobody could pick the sound of her screaming for help. And it was also stated that most of her neighbors were not even around. Eventually, on the 28th of July, 3 days later after she had been killed and left to die, a neighbor returned and saw that her door was opened a little, ajar, and that there was a key dangling from the outside. But she didn't do anything. They just assumed she was home. Not until a dry cleaner, who usually does her laundry service, came over to either drop some clothes or pick up some clothes. It was at that moment that they realized that something terrible had happened to Debbie. It was this laundryman that raised the alarm. All the neighbors came down and they saw what had happened. The police was immediately called, and when the police came to the scene, they realized that her body was at the early stage of decomposition, and they saw how gruesome the scene was and instantly treated it as an homicide. It was very obvious that somebody had killed her. Calls were put through to her family members to inform them that something bad had happened to their loved one. Her brother was the first to get there, and when he got there, he saw the police there, and he was informed that the killing may have happened days before she was found. The police described that her body had deep stab wounds and deep cut wounds, which indicated that they may have used not just kitchen knives, also a cutlass, and they may have also attempted to behead her. Whoever the killers was, the police were sure that they really wanted her dead. However, given the nature of how she was killed, it was also possible that these people held a little bit of resentment against her. I mean, one stab is deadly enough, but to go multiple stabbing and inflicting deep cuts, literally trying to butcher this woman, shows that this was much more than them trying to steal from her. They probably were either jealous of her or hated her. Even in the crime scene, the plate of rice was still out there. The food that she had served for them was still there, which meant that these people did not even finish eating the food. They went straight for what they had come for, which equally also meant that they had already planned this ahead of time. At the initial time, the police did not have any suspect. It was said that they were thinking it was one of her boyfriends, a chief that she was said to be rumored to date, who also said had borrowed money from her. So they were looking at that direction because that's what many people would know. They thought, okay, this chief who had borrowed money from her was avoiding to pay and was trying to get rid of her, which makes sense. However, when the police decided to track her 2 mobile phones, they discovered it in 2 different locations. And stupidly for the personal assistant, she was still holding on to Debbie's phone. And that was how she was instantly traced and arrested. And when the personal assistant was arrested and found with the mobile phone of the late woman, that was how they knew that she knew something regarding her death. And the personal assistant did not waste time in routing out all the other people who took part, the driver and the other friend. It was said the other friend who assisted them was picked up too, and these, as at the time of making this video, are the only 2 people who were in police custody, and they instantly started spilling and confessing. Put in mind that this case is still ongoing because they are looking for the driver, so the police are not exactly revealing details, and pictures of the PA and the friend have not yet been released. So we might be using AI images to represent this. However, when the PA and the other person were questioned by the police, they claimed that the reason why they did what they did to the woman was because the money that she got on her birthday for gifts, the monetary gift that she got, the money that she was paid on her birthday was so much, was a lot. And they did not want to give it to her because they were the ones who picked it up and put it in the bag. You know how these things happen when they spray someone money, some people pick it up. They wanted to keep the money for themselves. So on that day, she called for the meeting with the PA, the driver, and the other friend. It was for her to receive the money and take it for herself. But it was not something that they were willing to do. So the driver and the personal assistant, along with another person, both connived, planned that when they get to Debbie's house, rather than give her the money, they were going to kill her. It was even said that it was the driver who brought the weapon, the cutlass and the knives that they used to kill her. And I'm guessing the guy is going to probably be on the run. I don't think he's still in Ondo State. He's most likely have gone to another state. But I don't know why his pictures has not been uploaded. Maybe they are trying to go on the low. The police are trying to investigate it lowly. She's a very wealthy woman who comes from a rich home. So I'm sure the police will take it seriously and do it nicely. Maybe if they publicize it, it will make the man want to run away. But I'm sure the driver have seen the news. So his pictures should be uploaded so that more people can look out for him. Because let me tell you, there's a chance that he might run far away and nobody will get him. But this is my thing with this story. I was like, it's an overkill. If you guys picked money for this woman at her birthday party and you thought it was too much to give to her, it was 2 days later she called you people to request for that money. And I'm sure the money was in cash. So it couldn't have been something that they had to go and pay in an account. So it's most likely something that they had to hold. So why couldn't you people just run away with the money? Why couldn't people, if people wanted to steal the money, steal it? There was no reason to have to kill her the way they did. Maybe they thought killing her will stop her from saying who stole the money. That way they can eat the money in peace and act like, oh my God, she's murdered, we didn't know. But then again, they went on to steal her mobile phone and her ATM card, which is suspicious because for anyone to steal your ATM card, they got to know your PIN. And the most likely person that would know her PIN would be either her son or her personal assistant if she had any, and she does have one. Now, something I was also trying to understand was her personal assistant a man or a woman? I was thinking the personal assistant was female all the time. I'm sure I even used she, but it turned out that the personal assistant might be a man also, which is really weird. So she had 3 men jump on her like that. So these are 3 men most likely. I was thinking the personal assistant is a woman, but it was most possibly a man, a grown-up man. The evil that men do though, it's really shocking sometimes. The greediness of it all. They probably thought she didn't need the money anymore. They probably thought they needed it more than she did and felt so entitled to her money. That is why you don't work with people who feel like you owe them. Maybe they were not impressed with their salaries, but who cares? They agreed for the job. This is just a case of greed and just a case of evil, because it was really a gruesome way to die for a woman who did not do anything to them and only wanted her money.